Coming to you live from Syracuse, New York, this is the All Out Destruction Tour Season 4 event number 3. We were off last week, but we're right back into it this week, and a major point shakeup as Gravedigger and Driver Sweats are not here tonight, leaving it wide open for Son of a Digger driven by Evil Nexus or Black Pearl driven by Raisin Racer to try to take that top spot. But to do that, they're going to have to get through people like Northern Nightmare with Mile Proto at the helm, who's been running very strong. Then you have El Toro Loco, who couldn't be here tonight. Wildside it is here. Brutus is not here due to a rule change. Terminal Velocity is not even in the league anymore. Then we have Destroyer and Wolf's Head wrapping up the top 10. Not to mention there's several drivers underneath them that are trying to scratch and claw their way up into that top 10. So needless to say, it's anybody's race to win tonight. So these points will not look the same after this is all said and done. So let's head right into round 1 action here. We got Blake and Bulldozer, who's one of those guys that are trying to crack that top 10. He'll be going up against Vendetta, driven by Overkill Evolution. So we got a chance to see Bulldozer for the first time last week, driven by Blake. Let's see if he's got something for Vendetta, driven by Overkill this week, as we head into the halfway point, and it looks like Bulldozer has just a bit of a lead, but it's not much, as Vendetta really turns on the fire. Bulldozer goes wide, and that's going to be a win for Vendetta, with Overkill Evo moving on to the next round. Remember, each round you get points, so it's so important to pick up those wins where you can. As this season continues on, these points become so important. As we get ready to look at our next race here, we have Destroyer, driven by Eggs Benedict. He's been showing up pretty regularly, so he should be looking good in the points. And then we have Elle Wheeler in Time Flies, and I'm excited to see her for the first time. That's right, I said her, because she is one of our few female drivers driving in All Out Destruction Tour. Probably the only female driver, I think, in the entire tour, and she's driving on Saturday, where most of the veterans are going to be driving, so let's see how she does against Eggs Benedict and Destroyer, who's been to every single event so far. And she goes wide, but Eggs has all sorts of trouble in that final turn. And it looks like Elle Wheeler picking up the W for the ladies out there. Love to see it. So Elle Wheeler and Time Flies moving on to the next round. Moving things right along, we're going to take a look at Tae-Chu Val driving TRD, which stands for Toyota Racing Development, our only Toyota truck in AODT. And his opponent tonight will be Sid driving Rage. This is our first look at Sid this season, so I'm excited to see what this kid's got as he goes up against Tay, who's been a strong racer up till this point. Both drivers seem to have strong starts. Sid staying real close to those cars as Tay goes a little wider, but Tay is still with him at the halfway point, but Tay goes wide again, and I don't think that's going to be enough, as Sid in his debut in AODT looking very strong. As Sid may be one to watch as the season progresses, looking very good. Unfortunately for Tay, he just went a little wider than he should have. Moving on to our next race. So if you notice here, what Floof is showing you, all but in a very unorthodox way of showing you, is the way that we check to make sure that people aren't deleting cars. You have to go and run your tires up against it. Typically people use their front tires, but Floof likes to do things a bit differently, so he's using his back tires. His opponent will be D Wheeler. If that name sounds familiar, that's because he is the husband of Elle Wheeler, who we saw earlier in Time Flies. He'll be driving Carolina Crusher tonight. So a bit of a family affair with the Wheelers in regards to AODT, and we're happy to have them. It's always cool to see couples come out and race together. Couples who race together stay together, so I'm told, as these racers get started looking dead even at the half. So it's all going to come down to this last turn. Who's got it? And Wolf's Head and Floof stealing one away from D-Wheeler, but I don't know why I say steal, because Floof has looked strong all season long, as he has just figured out a way to make that Wolfhead's truck run so smoothly with those Goodyear tires. So again, not really shocked to see him pick up another W, as he's been so consistent racing this season, but we'll see Carolina Crusher back again in the future, I'm sure. As next up, we got Evil Nexus and Son of a Digger. He is in second place in the point standings, so he needs a big showing tonight. He'll be taking on Overkill Evolution driving Vendetta, who we saw in the first round, who was looking very strong. So our first look at Son of a Digger tonight. And since he doesn't have Sweats here tonight driving Gravedigger, this is a good opportunity for Evil Nexus to establish his dominance, as he is a veteran of this league. And it's not a shock at all to see Evil Nexus and Son of a Digger move on An absolute dominant performance for Evil Nexus in his first race of the night. Now, if you're a top points holder, then you get bye runs directly into the second round, which automatically gives you extra points. So again, as these points are so crucial, getting ready for our next race, we're going to get our first look at Luna in Wildside, who's running a new chassis this week. Typically, he's been running PEI, but he opted to switch up to Race Source. He'll be taking on L. Wheeler in Time Flies, the lone female here tonight. We've already seen the one Wheeler get eliminated. Let's see if she can keep the Wheeler tradition going as this race gets started. She was a little late off the start, as Wildside in that new chassis is looking very strong so far. L. Wheeler hanging in there with Time Flies, but it's all going to come down to this final turn. And Wildside in that new chassis making it work for him. I think this chassis switch for him was a good move. Not everybody likes the way that every chassis drives, and some people's driving styles work better with others, as he goes and checks on L. Wheeler in Time Flies, who seems like she's having all sorts of trouble over there. So an unfortunate night for the Wheelers, but a fortunate night for Wildside as he gets to move on. As we take a look now at the number 3 points holder, Raisin Racer in Black Pearl. He is a PEI driver just like myself, and he'll be taking on Sid in Rage, who is a CRC chassis. The CRC chassis tend to have a bit of a wider wheelbase. It gives them a little more traction as they make those turns, especially in the Chicago-style racing that we're doing this season. As both drivers start strong, we'll see how Sid fares against last season's points champion. And it doesn't look like he's going to have much luck, as Black Pearl and Raisin Racer just absolutely dominate the new guy. A bit of a welcome, if you will, from Raisin Racer in that beautiful Black Pearl truck, saying, hey, you know, nice showing, kid, but you got a lot to learn if you want to keep up with last season's points champion. As both Son of a Digger and Black Pearl taking full advantage of Gravedigger not being here tonight. Let's see if Northern Nightmare, driven by Mile Proto, can do the same, as he's in 4th place. And he'll be taking on Floof in Wolf's Head, who again has been absolutely dominant when it comes to his time racing. So this should be a very good race. 2 very strong racers. Let's see if he's got what it takes to put down Wolf's Head, who looked very good in round number 1. Dead even heading into the halfway point. So it all comes down to this final turn. And Floof, I don't know what happened. He just turned on the juice in that last little quarter of the track and absolutely left Proto and Northern Nightmare in his dust. It looked like it was a lot closer of a race than it ended up being, as both trucks finished strongly. And we're going to keep going right away now, as we got Evil Nexus and Son of a Digger. He'll be going up in the semifinals against Wildside, driven by Luna, with his new Racehorse chassis, who looked very good in his first round. But we'll see if Wildside has what it takes to put down Evil Nexus in this semifinal race. How good is that Racehorse chassis? He's about to find out, as Evil Nexus is just not holding back at all. Wildside having all types of problems, and Evil Nexus is going to move on easily in this semifinal round. So we'll be seeing him back in the finals. Evil Nexus getting it done on a night where Gravedigger's not here. Son of a Digger really stepping up and showing what he can do when he's not running into rough matchups early in the rounds. I know a thing or two about that myself. As we get a good look here at Black Pearl and Raisin Racer, who's been looking very strong tonight. And this should be a very good race, because both of these drivers have looked incredibly strong heading into this round. So it's going to be Floof and Wolf's Head, who's been dominating his race competitors, and Black Pearl, who's been dominating his race competitors. So it's anybody's guess who's going to walk away with this victory. I'm very excited for this race, and I hope you at home are too. As we get ready to go green. And we're racing into the first turn. Both drivers staying tight to those cars. Exactly what you want to do. Black Pearl has a bit of a lead at the halfway point. And here comes Black Pearl, who pulls out the victory over Floof, who put in a strong effort but just came up a bit short. So Raisin Racer and Black Pearl is going to be going up against Son of a Digger in the final, as Floof looks like he is not too happy about taking that loss. And, you know, looking as strong as he has, I can understand why he's upset, but he's not the first and definitely won't be the last to fall to Black Pearl as we get ready for our final race of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Raisin Racer in Black Pearl up against Evil Nexus in Son of a Digger. Heavy emphasis on the D, folks. This is it. This is what it's all come down to. The final two. Who is going to take that first place away from Sweats and Gravedigger, who couldn't be here tonight? This should be an absolute barn burner. As we go green into the first turn, both drivers hugging those cars tightly. They both want this bad. Dead even at the half. Into the final turn. Who's it gonna be? Oh my, I don't know. I don't know who won that. We're gonna have to go to the replay. It's the only way we can figure this out. We gotta go to a replay. So both drivers looking very strong coming into that final turn, hugging the cars tightly. As we cross the finals, oh, it looks like Son of a Digger got him by half a truck length, maybe. That's the one thing about this Chicago-style racing, man. It's anybody's game. So a big win here tonight for Evil Nexus in Son of a Digger. Wow, what an absolute close race to finish it. As Black Pearl seems pretty mad about taking that L, but I can't blame him. Both of these guys wanted it. It's not very often you don't have to go up against Sweats. Both of them wanted to be winners, as Black Pearl is trying to stop Son of a Digger's race celebration, as he's got a souvenir there, folks. Taking it with him, Son of a Digger's front tire, and that's not going to stop Nexus from trying to celebrate. Big win, though, for Nexus. I'm sure he's feeling very good about that win. So, Evil Nexus from Chesapeake, Virginia, bringing his A game, taking full advantage of Gravedigger not being here. Now, in fact, if I could take you to the freestyle run that Son of a Digger ran too, he actually doubled down tonight, winning freestyle and racing. So here is Son of a Digger's freestyle run in its entirety. Just getting big air, making good use of those obstacles. I figured it would be best, since I can't show you all of the freestyle without sacrificing the production of the show, we'll show you the winner of the freestyle. That way, we can keep you guys up to date on points. So if you've been following all season long, you'll know exactly who is winning and where. So I'll show the final race of the night and the winning freestyle. As you can just see, Nexus was making very good use of all these cars, throwing out a big backflip over the jump. Fun fact, I actually did that in my freestyle too with my Bigfoot truck, but that video will be out next. As he's just making good use of it, going high into the sky, the truck staying together, right into a nose wheelie, to a moonwalk. In trouble, he gets a big save there, is able to bring it back on its front. Nice crossover transition into a sidewall that he's able to bring back to a nice save again. Now, Nexus has gone undefeated in freestyle runs so far this season. Somehow the truck stays together right there. So as where Sweats has been undefeated in racing, Nexus has been undefeated in freestyle, which Sweats not being here in Gravedigger opened up the door for Nexus to get his first double down of his career in AODT. And our first double down of the season. As you see there, Nexus is absolutely crushing it. So with that said, all things said and done, let's take a look at your current points standings now. With Nexus doubling down tonight, he has jumped into a nice big lead with Black Pearl in second place. Then we have Northern Nightmare jumping ahead of Gravedigger, but Sweats will probably be back next week. Then we have Wildside moving up the bracket, Destroyer moving up the bracket, Wolf's Head moving up the bracket. We got Vendetta moving up the bracket. El Toro Loco still stays in the top 10, and then TRD, Toyota Racing Development, moving up into the top 10 too. But remember, next week, this can all change, folks. So when drivers take weeks off, obviously they fall back in the points if you don't make an event, and that sometimes it's just because the event fills up too fast. It's not their lack of wanting to be there. Sometimes, the events just, especially on Saturday Tour, fills up super fast. So that's why El Toro Loco, he wanted to be here tonight. He was put on the wait list, but unfortunately too many people showed up who said they were going to show up, which is exactly what we like to see, and he wasn't able to compete. But I am sure we will see him back next week. As you take a look again one more time at the point standings, this is getting good as we get ready to head into week number 4, where things are going to be different. It's not going to be a Chicago style. It's going to be St. Louis style racing. So for All Out Destruction Tour, I am your host, E.G. Lately, saying keep it destructive, folks, and I will see you guys next on the Sunday tour that goes on then tomorrow. They'll be running freestyle, so nothing better than a good old freestyle, and I think you'll be surprised at the controversy, frankly, that takes place during that freestyle. Congratulations to Son of a Digger on his first double down in this season, but after all, that's what makes this all so fun. See you next time, folks.